And speaking of Paramount ruining everything, in the last episode you talked about redoing Star Wars, and I talked about being a Star Trek fan and how angry I am at current Star Trek. And I was talking to Mike and Ryan the other day, they're big Star Trek fans, and they figured out that there's more Star Trek shows in production nowadays than have ever existed previously.
Wow. Because
you originally had the original series and the animated show. Then you had The Next Generation 18 years later. So that's 3 if you want to call it that. Though the animated doesn't really count. Mm-hmm. Then you have Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. Then you have Voyager.
Mm-hmm. What about Enterprise?
And Enterprise. So you have 6.
Now, what about Discovery and all that kind of stuff?
That's the new one. So in New Trek, after J.J. Abrams decided to use Star Trek as a launching point to also ruin Star Wars, so you had the 3 movies, 2009, Into Darkness, and Beyond. Beyond's okay. The rest are bleh. Yeah, so now you have Discovery, you have Picard, you have Short Treks, you have Lower Decks, you have Prodigy that's coming out, you have Brave New Worlds, and there's some other stuff coming out. But these are all shows going on at the same time, and they're all on Paramount Plus, and they're all being show run by Alex Kurtzman, and it.
I watched a little of Picard because Picard's my favorite character in all of Star Trek. I mean, him and Data, it's tough, but like I and they're both in the show, so it hooked me. But aside from like one scene, I didn't see anything else of Data, and like I didn't get very far. To be honest,
you missed the assisted suicide at the end with Data. That's a shame.
I didn't get very far because at a certain point I know Riker shows up eventually.
He makes pizza.
But I was just waiting, and like it seemed like it was off to such a slow start. And with me, with TV, like it needs to be good from the beginning. It's very hard for me to sit through like a whole show if I'm like, well, maybe it'll get good later.
It doesn't it's a commitment. Feel like Star Trek. I watched the first few episodes of Picard with you guys, and I didn't feel like I was watching a Star Trek show. Felt like I was watching a show, but like it could be anything. It didn't have to be Star Trek. It could have been literally.
Discovery kind of became, I don't want to say Game of Thrones in space, but it became very adult for the sake of just doing it, I'm
going to make 2 new shows. One is about people that go on a long journey where they fight a war the whole time. It's Trek Wars. And then I'm going to make another one called Star.
Trek. Well, I was going to make a Star Trek and Star Wars crossover called Trek Wars.
Trek Wars.
Yeah.
And Star.
Well, that's why
it's about a star that goes around the other stars and flies across
it's like
the
Shark.
Yeah.
So what basically ended up happening is the best Star Trek movie to come out after Star Trek 6 is fucking Galaxy Quest. Which I reviewed the other day on Hack the Movies.
Is that the movie with Tim Allen?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's good. And the best Star Trek show nowadays is the fucking Orville.
Yeah, the Orville's great.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what it's come down to. The parodies are better.
Yaphet in it. Rest in peace, Norm McFucking-Donald. What the hell? Like, I can't even believe that. Yeah, that's honestly like one of the roughest ones. Like, now of course. We're at that age where, man, Norm Macdonald, like that was really rough.
I am glad we got to review Dirty Work on Rental Reviews. I love that movie. Yeah, so Star Trek is now a disaster, and I've been talking about for a while how I want to do Star Trek in 100, which is the 100 hours of Star Trek from the 4 main shows and including some of the movies into a concisive
I'd like
the best of the best.
I don't really want to care to be in that, but I'd love to watch it. So.
I thought about doing a video on it too, but yeah, it'd be cool for you to get involved in it, explain, I don't know how long it would be, but I've been working on spreadsheets for a while now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it just sounds like something I like to watch because it's like, how do you condense all of Star Trek how do you get a newcomer into Star Trek? It's an interesting kind of
That's
topic,
the concept, because when we were shooting the other day, Crystal, who films with us, was like, I've never really watched Star Trek, and I love Galaxy Quest. Like, how do I get into it? Mm-hmm. Do I watch some of the new shows that are coming out now? And I'm like, no. And I'm not sure you're really going to dig some, like, if you start with the original series, like, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, I would think, I haven't seen what you're putting together yet, but I would say, like, see the best episodes of the original series, not all of them, just like a handful of the original series.
I have
and then
7 of them in there.
Okay,
but,
cool.
Because you got to know who the Romulans are. You got to know who the Vulcans are. You got to know who all the races are, who all the characters are. To get ready, because I have like 4 of the movies in there.
Yeah.
You got to have Star Trek 2, 3, because Spock has to be alive. 4 and 6, they're the best ones.
So
but then you got to get to Next Generation as quick as possible. I think. I think the original is like you need to see it because it's the classic one. It's the one that got the whole thing started. But Next Generation, I think, is where it got really good.
Out of 100 hours, the first 14 are original series, as of right now.
Okay.
The big, huge problem, and I might need help on this from anyone, Deep Space Nine, because it's like a war serialized kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where each episode connects to the last one. There's 9-part episodes in that. You just can't cut shit.
Yeah,
or you won't know what the fuck's going on.
I actually started watching Deep Space Nine. I'm very, very slowly progressing, and I know it's like everybody tells me it's really, really good, but it takes so much time, and it's a
There's
commitment.
build up.
Yeah, and like I'm halfway through the first season, but it's like sometimes I sit there and I'm like clicking through the episodes just to see like how many are coming up. I'm like, oh my God, this is like so many hours to put in. Like this is a serious commitment. Like you could take some kind of class and graduate in the time it takes to watch.
Yeah, whereas Voyager is easy because they kind of go back to Monster of the Week episodes. There's some plot things and some really good
Voyager
two-parters
was.
here and there, but
I liked Voyager. I got into that in the late '90s. Like
Voyager's the one I grew up with.
Yeah,
because TNG was out when I was a kid and stuff.
Yeah,
but
my brother-in-law and my sister were huge fans of Next Generation, and then they would watch Voyager every week, and then also Next Generation was still on TV. I know what year did it end though? Wasn't that like
93?
Yeah, because it used to still be on syndication all the time, and they would never miss an episode.
There was a time where DS9 was going on when TNG was, and Voyager was going on when DS9 was happening.
Yeah, I remember too. Like The Rock was on Voyager, and there was an episode where like basically they had to fight like the Predator, kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Predator, but it was basically the Predator. It was like a monster that was hunting people and invisible, kind of. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also had a crush on B'Elanna Torres.
Oh, the engineer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So the 55th anniversary just happened. They released. I love when they release all the trailers of the last 55 years of Star Trek, and 80% of the clips are from the new shows.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, that's nice. Great job, everybody.